is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Wisconsin.
Tuesday night baseball at Miller Park. Epic tailgating outside, and this Brewers Cubs series is presented by Blue Harbor Resorts. Roof is all closed up on a chilly night outside. Beautiful sunshine, though. And we're ready for game one. The Cubs and the Brewers, the first trip for the Chicago Cubs here to Miller Park. Good news tonight. Ryan Braun returns to the lineup after 2 days out. He has a 23-game on-base streak alive and has had great success against the Chicago Cubs, especially recent success. Anthony Rizzo and the Cubs are here. Might be the Cubs' best player. He is tied with Robinson Cano for the most RBIs in all of baseball and has long been a Brewer killer. Pitching matchup tonight, you got Kyle Hendricks making start number 7 for the Cubs. Chase Anderson on the mound for the Brew Crew, going after win number 2. And hi, everybody. We welcome you from Miller Park. Great to have you with us here tonight. Alongside Bill Schroeder, I'm Brian Anderson. Telly Hughes, Sophia Minert will be with us as well. And Rock, let's get into the Chicago Cubs right away. It's their first trip here to Miller Park. The Brewers saw them in Chicago, lost 2 games in that series. But what they've done here in the first 36 games has been historically good.
Well, the turnaround didn't take long either. I mean,
right.
A couple of years ago, they really weren't relevant. But, you know, the influx of money, they had some draft pick, they had some trades, and all of a sudden, right now, they're the best team in all of baseball. They started out 8-1, have not looked back. 27-9, a 7.5 game lead, and the Cubs lost 2 in a row for the first time last week. These guys are swinging the bats well, averaging almost 6 runs a game. They lead the National League in runs. They've got Rizzo, they've got Bryant at the plate. They have a 264 earned run average. I mean, Arrieta and Lester, the 2 big guns in that starting rotation. So the Brewers have a tiger by the tail here in the next 3 days. The Chicago Cubs are good.
First of 3. And the Brewers trying to make their mark in this National League Central. Chris Carter breaking out of a slump in a big way on Sunday. Telly Hughes has the sleepy story when we continue.
Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. By your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. And by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. Chris Carter busted out of an 0-for-23 slump in Sunday's series finale win over San Diego with a 3-for-4 day at the plate, which included his 11th home run of the season. As we welcome you back to Miller Park, where the Brewers' 7-game homestand continues against the team with the top record in baseball, the Chicago Cubs. The Crew, on the other hand, secured a series split against San Diego on Sunday behind the bat of Chris Carter, who is second in the National League in extra base hits. 22 of Carter's 33 hits this season have gone for extra bases, and Carter kept true to his regimen, knowing he'd say so long to that slump sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple games where, I was kind of off and didn't have good at-bats, but for the most part, I was having good at-bats, and I just kept working in cage every day and on the field just to get back to where I was at before.
He understands, the best way to get out of it, and sometimes it's not more, it's not harder, it's not dig a hole and hide. It's just stick to my process, stick to what I'm doing, get back to something that I was having success with early in the year, and he did a good job of that. He did it pretty quickly.
Coming up, the Cubs and Brewers will write 3 new chapters to their storied rivalry as the Crew look to take down the top dogs. BA and Rock will be back after the break with the first pitch and call next on Fox Sports Wisconsin.
Braun, who stays red hot.
3-run home run, Anthony Rizzo.
1-2. He struck him out swinging.
That ball tagged. How far will it fly? Oh! That ball's deep. Watch it fly. Lucroy off the scoreboard. Just about ready for game time. First pitch coming your way. Brewers, Cubs, and the Brew Crew decked out in their home whites tonight, as Chase Anderson will stand on top of that hill momentarily. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Spend the night with luxury. Brewers hit the field. Roof is closed up on a 52-degree night in Milwaukee. And we are delighted to have you with us. So we're ready for baseball. First trip for the Cubs inside Miller Park. Team with the best record in baseball coming into play tonight. They've lost just 9 games. They are 27-9 against the National League Central. Joe Maddon's team is 15-3 already this year, and they've won 7 straight here at Miller Park, something the Brewers would like to erase here this evening. Dexter Fowler leads it off for the Cubs. He'll play center field. Jason Hayward back in right field for Chicago, and then Chris Bryant in left. Middle of the order is Anthony Rizzo, Ben Zobrist, and Addison Russell. Javier Baez will start at third base with Miguel Montero back from a back injury. He'll catch Kyle Hendricks. And that's the batting order that will face right-hander Chase Anderson, first-year Brewer, coming over from the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, it's been a rough start to his season. 1-5, a 6.11 earned run average, but very good his last time out. Although he did suffer a loss against the Marlins in Miami. 6 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, and threw only 74 pitches, so much better. Has never pitched against the Chicago Cubs in his career, so this is the first for Chase Anderson here tonight. Now let's check out the defense behind Anderson today, brought to you by Menards. Braun, Neuenhuis, and Santana in the outfield. Ryan Braun had a couple of days off. He's back in that starting lineup. Hill, VR, Jeanette, and Carter from third to first, and Jonathan Lucroy hanging his signs for Chase Anderson here tonight.
Now, good to see Ryan Braun back in the starting lineup. Missed the last 2 games, and then the team had an off day yesterday. Right wrist injury is what shelved Braun in that series with the Padres. But he's back, ready to roll. Says his wrist feels, quote unquote, good enough. And back in the lineup tonight with the Cubs here. All set for baseball. First of a 3-game series with the Cubs. It'll culminate on Thursday afternoon, and then the Brewers will hit the road once again. Chase Anderson's first offering to Dexter Fowler is in there for a strike, and off we go. That is Chris Guccione calling the balls and strikes tonight. David Rackley, Larry Vanover, and Alfonso Marquez, the base umpire. The crew chief is out at second base tonight, Larry Vanover. And Anderson quickly gets ahead of Fowler, 0-2. Fowler comes in with the 8th best batting average in the National League. He is hitting .331. On base percentage is .449. And he's been slugging a little bit as well. A .543 slugging average.
Well, top of the order has been doing a really good job getting on base. You know, Dexter Fowler, Hayward. That's why the Cubs lead the National League in runs scored. They're averaging almost 6 runs a game, so the offense is in good shape. Hayward off to a slow start this year, but he's starting to swing the bat.
It looked like Dexter Fowler was going to sign elsewhere. Looked like he was headed to Baltimore. Decided to stay with the Cubs, take less money. And that was big news this spring in Arizona when he changed his mind and re-signed with the Cubs.
A couple of Cubs on that list, on base percentage leaders.
2-2 pitch. Fowler sends one high in the air, center field, and that's going to stay in the ballpark. Neuenhuis there to make the play for out number 1.
Yeah, didn't miss it by much. Got under it. A fastball from Chase Anderson, who really established his fastball very well in his last start against the Miami Marlins. Threw a lot of fastballs, very good fastballs that were on the corners and down. Left that one out over the plate a little bit, and Fowler nearly hit it out. Early inning problems for Chase Anderson have been his bugaboo, and he really didn't have that issue his last time out.
Early inning runs allowed, or early game runs allowed, and home runs allowed have been the 2 stats that jump out on Chase Anderson as he misses on his first try to Jason Hayward. Anderson has given up 9 home runs. Gave up 1 in the Miami game, his last start back on the 11th of May. He's lost 5 consecutive starts after winning his Brewers debut against the Astros. He went 5 shutout in his first game as a Brewer. That's strike 1 to Hayward.
There was really only 1 bad pitch that he threw in that last start. A changeup to Justin Bour. He hit it out. It was a 2-run homer. Other than that, I mean, he was right on the corners and keeping everything down.
Hayward, the big offseason acquisition for the Cubs. They signed 2 Cardinals Jason Hayward on the position player side and John Lackey as a starting pitcher. Hayward's been dealing with a bad wrist. He missed 4 starts because of that wrist a couple of weeks ago, and hitting just .236. Still looking for his first home run. He's driven in 13. And that one sounded like it was in on the hands. Back is VR in the grass for out number 2. Well, Chase Anderson hoping for a turnaround. The Brewers need to get a string of quality starts from their starting pitchers. Things are starting to get on the uptick a little bit, but see his numbers over his last 5 starts. But Rock, as you mentioned, his last start probably his best during that stretch.
I think you know, in the middle of all that, the problems that he was having, and he didn't trust his fastball anymore, and you know, a lot of off-speed pitches, getting behind in the count, and then coming in with the fastball. That's when he was giving up all the home runs. And you know, last time out, and we're going to talk about that quite a bit because it was a big turnaround for him because he did trust the fastball.
Facing Chris Bryant now, the reigning Rookie of the Year in the National League. Extremely versatile defensively as well. As Jorge Soler has struggled, it's allowed Joe Madden to have Javier Baez play third, and Bryant's gone out to left field. Saw him play right field on a number of occasions last year.
Hey, wherever he plays, he still hits. I mean, that's the thing about Bryant, a young kid. He moves all over the place. Sometimes that can be a bit distracting.
One of the great young talents in the game, Chris Bryant. He's off to a good start. 6 homers, 25 runs batted in, and a .275 batting average. On base percentage is over .350. 3-1. Bryant in the air, pops it foul and out of play.
I love the way Anderson is going right after these hitters. A 3-1 fastball. He got Fowler on that deep fly on the fastball, and he also got Hayward jammed him on a fastball. So keep throwing it, put it in good locations, then go to the off-speed stuff.
Anderson has one of the 5 quality starts over the last 7 for the Brewers. That start against Miami. As Bryant launches one high and deep center field. Neuenhuis running out of room. He leaps and he makes the catch. Kurt Neuenhuis climbing the wall in the deepest part of the ballpark and takes one away from Chris Bryant. Boy, what a play. I'm not sure it would have gone out, but it was close. Beautiful play to get us started with a bang tonight. Brewers coming up, bottom of the first. Nice, making an impact with his glove early, taking extra bases away from Chris Bryant. Great way to start the night for the Milwaukee Brewers. Let's check the Brewers lineup tonight, courtesy of Potawatomi. And Craig Counsell turning this one in with VR, Jeanette, and Braun at the top of the order. Lucroy, Carter, and Santana in the middle, with Neuenhuis, Hill, and Chase Anderson rounding out the starting 9. And Rock, they will face Kyle Hendricks, who's coming off a no decision in his last start against the San Diego Padres last Wednesday.
Yeah, the starting rotation for the Cubs is very much of a strong suit for them. 26 years old for Hendricks, 6'3", 190, not a hard throw, has a good changeup. He's 4-1 career against Milwaukee in 7 starts, and check this out, a 149 earned run average against the Brewers.
Facing Jonathan VR to start it. VR back in that leadoff spot where he hit this weekend in both of the weekend games Saturday and Sunday against the Padres, as Domingo Santana hit cleanup one game. He had been the primary leadoff hitter, and then Santana was off from the starting lineup on Sunday. But I think Counsell, even after a team off day yesterday, likes the flow of this offense with Jonathan VR as the leadoff man, and he's really been swinging it well.
Swinging it well, getting on base percentage near 400. And he adds a lot of excitement and energy to the lineup when he gets on base.
VR went 7 for 14 against the Padres in that first series. Down he goes on strikes, and that's how the night begins for Kyle Hendricks.
Well, defense for the Cubs has been pretty good so far this year. Let's check them out. Brought to you by Menards. Bryant, Fowler, and Hayward in the outfield. You got Baez. He can pick it over at third base. Russell and Zobrist up the middle. They're pretty athletic out there. Anthony Rizzo and Miguel Montero behind home plate. Recently off the disabled list with that bad back.
Very fast outfield for the Cubs with Bryant in left. As Scooter Gennett, a wave and a miss.
Montero actually went on the disabled list when the Brewers were in Chicago.
Now, Montero is a big bat, big presence to have back for the Cubs. This is his 3rd day back. As Gennett bounces over to third. Baez will make the play for out number 2. Javier Baez, a shortstop by trade, came up as one of the many shortstops that the Cubs had assembled. He was a homegrown product, but they made a trade for Addison Russell. They had a lot of talent throughout their organization. Gives them flexibility defensively. Well, Ryan Braun returning tonight to the starting lineup. Good to have number 8 back in the batting order for Milwaukee. First ball swinging, big chopper out to Russell, and that'll do it for the Brewers in the first. 1-2-3 inning, a strikeout and a couple of groundouts for Kyle Hendricks.
At Miller Park, Chase Anderson back on the mound for his second inning of work. This is his 8th start. He's looking for his second win of the season. We just saw Willie Peralta, who is also looking for his 3rd win of the season in 8 starts so far this season. And going into yesterday's off day, there was a lot of questions surrounding Willie Peralta's future in the Brewers rotation, but Craig Counsell addressed that today. He said that Willie will make his 9th start on Friday in New York against the Mets to open that series off and that road trip off. And he said the only way to get better is by getting back out there and pitching more, and he's hoping that the more work Willie is able to get, the better off he'll be. So we'll see if Willie can pick up his 3rd win in his 9th start, which will come this Friday.
All right, thanks a lot. And the reigning National League champs, he'll have to face the New York Mets as Anderson deals a strike to Anthony Rizzo. And it really started with Craig Counsell's comments after Willie's last start, when he was asked if Peralta would be in the rotation, would continue in the rotation. And Counsell really didn't say either way. He didn't confirm or deny it, and I think that's what started a little bit of the questioning.
I think what he said was we have to figure out a way to get him better. I mean, a little bit of you know, not really committing one way or another, but again, I mean, the situation the Brewers are in, and they're looking to the future. I think the right thing to do for Willie, and the Brewers are doing that, is just let him go out there and grind it out, let him figure it out, right?
And that means his between starts activity becomes most important. We only see him on that 5th day, right? Every 5 days or 6 days when his spot in the rotation comes up. But all of that work he does with Derek Johnson and Lee Tunnell, the pitching coach and the bullpen coach, between starts. Rizzo into the ship, laying out is Hill. Makes the catch for the out.
Yeah, there's been some hard hit balls in this game already, but Chase Anderson still has not allowed the base hit. That was a bullet off the bat of Rizzo. You know, deep fly ball for Fowler. Bryant almost hit a home run. That was an out, and this is an out right here, a line drive. And check out Aaron Hill, a couple of steps on the glove side and able to haul it in.
Hill all the way over there on the shift, so it makes for a strange L5 put out, even though the ball was pulled. Here's Ben Zobrist, another key acquisition for the Cubs this offseason. Switch hitting, extremely versatile defensive player, and he seems very well connected to Joe Maddon all their years with the Tampa Bay Rays. Maddon raves about Zobrist, a winning player that he has wanted to get into a Cubs uniform. Certainly hope to get him in Chicago as soon as he became available. Good changeup from Anderson.
Yeah, switch hitter, pretty good from both sides of the plate. A much better right-handed hitter this year than a left-handed hitter, but you're right, very versatile. I mean, a good clubhouse guy, and just a perfect fit for Joe Maddon and this Cub team.
Ended up with the Kansas City Royals last year. And from the A's to the Royals did Zobrist. Terrific years with the Tampa Bay Rays. Matter of fact, made an all-star team twice as a member of the Rays, 2009 and 2013, as a utility man. Hits it hard, but right at Carter, who will take it to the bag for out number 2.
Got him played perfectly tonight. Hey, Sprague Madness 414 returns over Memorial Day weekend. That's Friday, May 27th through Monday the 30th, with 50% off select tickets for the Brewers matchups with the Reds and Cardinals, plus 414 concession specials all series long. Learn more at brewers.com/madness. 414 concession deals.
I'm in. Rolls off the tongue. Addison Russell takes a strike. Got our big auction night tonight, by the way.
I'm a little worried about that.
Ongoing. I hope we
hope our stuff's going all right.
I hope your standing in the community is able to keep us respectable for the entries to the auction.
Yeah.
Grab some grub with Brian and Bill is right now at $1,000, which is respectable.
We got to keep adding to that.
We kind of want to trend toward the top. There's a swing and a miss. Russell strikes out. Some atom balls, but then a punch out for Anderson. 6 up, 6 down.
the Brewers and the Cubs in this series opener. I'm Sophia Minner, and all night long we'll be helping our friends with the Brewers Community Foundation as they wrap up the ultimate online auction as a part of BCF Week. So as always, there are a number of unique fan experiences that you can bid on, and we want to stress that the bidding ends tonight at midnight. So you want to be sure to get in your final bids for so many of these experiences. And you know, we want to plug all of our favorites: the owner's experience, of course, Brewers Reporter for a Day, Fantasy Camp with Rock, of course, Grabbing Grub with Brian and Bill in the press box and our Fox Sports Wisconsin crew. But there is a new one. The Craig Counsell package, I think, is really unique. A chance to have a meet and greet with the manager, and you also get to take the lineup card up to home plate just before first pitch. So we'll be here all night long, BA and Rock, and we'll have a lot of fun with this.
All right, Sophia, thanks. We need you to get a Sharpie, though, and write your name next to the Grab Grub with Brian and Bill, because we've committed you for that dinner as well. We're going to have to move the needle up on this auction. So write your name in there, Sophia, next time we see that board.
I will get creative if Joan gives me permission to make some editing on the board.
In your best handwriting, please. Sophia will be out there all night, and it's a great cause. Raise a ton of money every year, so we like to have a little fun with it. But they do great work in the Community Foundation. Lucroy leads off for the Brew Crew. Bottom of the second inning, scoreless. Kyle Hendricks retired the side in order in the first inning with a strikeout. He'll face Lucroy, Carter, and Santana. New look middle of the order for Milwaukee as Hendricks loses Lucroy and the first base runner of the ball game on a walk to the leadoff man in the second inning, Jonathan Lucroy.
Yeah, Kyle Hendricks doesn't walk too many. Only his 8th walk this year, and now 36 2/3 innings. Not a big strikeout guy or walks. He puts it in play. A 3.03 earned run average coming in.
And he's kind of dragging down the Cubs starters ERA.
Yeah, he and Lester at about 3.5. Amazing.
It's been an impressive start for the Chicago Cubs. Their best start since 1907. Chris Carter coming off a big day Sunday afternoon against the Padres. Had 3 hits. He was 3 for 4. He snapped an 0 for 23 stretch at the plate. Telly had a good report on Carter's approach during that slump. Easy to let the game get you all wrapped up, but Carter stuck with it, remained patient, and he continues to be one of the most prolific home run hitters in the game going back to the 2013 season.
Man, he's one of those guys that he goes up there. He doesn't look like he really ever panics up there at the plate. He knows that he's got big power. You know, hitting 254. I think if the season ends with Chris Carter hitting 254, it's going to be a big home run season for him. That's how strong he is. One of those guys that doesn't even have to hit it all that well to get it out of the ballpark, particularly here.
Carter's currently tied for 3rd with a few others in the National League for home runs this season, Anthony Rizzo being one of those. The National League leader in homers right now is Nolan Arenado of the Colorado Rockies, who continues to emerge as one of the great players in the game.
Not just hit, he can field.
Multiple Gold Gloves over at third base for Arenado. It goes Arenado, Cespedes, and then there's a big group in there with 11 home runs, including Rizzo and Carter. 2 first basemen in this game.
We're going to see Cespedes this weekend.
Playing for the Mets. Brewers will start in New York and then head to Atlanta. A bouncer over to third. Baez backing up on it. They get the out at second. That big hop forced Baez back a couple of steps, and he's only able to get the 1 out.
Yeah, once he backed up on his baseball, no way he's going to get the double play, and it's pretty close at second. Yeah, if he comes in on it, maybe catching an in-between hop, he might boot it. So he decided just to play it safe and go for 1.
The Cubs do not have many holes whatsoever. They are very tight defensively. Their outfield, especially this particular group and the way the lineup sets up for Joe Madden tonight. Very fast. Not much getting through. Shattered bat. Look out. That's a foul ball. But the head of the bat almost hit Kyle Hendricks. Well, that was wicked.
It reminds you a little bit of that play that Zach Davies made on Sunday, where he had to jump over a bat and then catch a ground ball. Boy, that's dangerous. Look at the end of that bat. Got that point on it. Goes foul, but you talk about getting eaten up inside. Wow.
Oof. Hendricks is fortunate. Got a javelin coming at him. It's got to rattle you a little bit as a pitcher, I would think.
Right. Yeah, the play Davies made on Sunday. Yeah, bat coming at him, jumps over it, makes a play on a ground ball. Talk about focus.
Fielded a ground ball with his feet in the air, both feet in the air, jumping over the bat. Oh, 2 on Santana. First time he's hit 6th in the lineup this year. He's been the leadoff man. And then we saw him in the cleanup spot on Saturday. Santana looking for his first hit against the Cubs. The Brewers played a series at Wrigley. One of the games was postponed due to rain. They'll make it up as a doubleheader later in the year. And the Cubs won the first 2 games in that series. Cubs are just coming off a 7-3 homestand. They swept the Nationals. And then they dropped 2 out of 3 to the Padres. Responded by winning 2 out of 3 from the Pirates. But they did lose on Sunday. Garrett Cole won that game, beat John Lester on Sunday. That was a 2-1 Pittsburgh victory at Wrigley. Close pitch. They'll ask if he went. He goes. First base umpire David Rackley says Santana was unable to check it, and it's a strikeout.
Yeah, I guess I have to agree with him. I mean, it looked like in regular motion, regular speed, that he's able to hold up, but very rarely, once you get that bat going, you can hold it up. And Craig Counsell didn't like the call.
Not reviewable. That's a judgment call.
It was close.
So 2 men are out. It's the second strikeout for Hendricks. And here's Kirk Nieuwenhuis. Nieuwenhuis has already put his stamp on this game. First inning, 3rd batter of the game. Nieuwenhuis taking extra bases away from Chris Bryant.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been out of the ballpark, but it certainly would have been trouble, maybe a triple.
He's talking to Kirk before the game today. Enjoying his time here in Milwaukee, enjoying the playing time. He has been out there a lot. He has played more center field than any of the Brewers, and starting to settle into maybe an everyday role here. The other center fielder is Ramon Flores, who's a left-handed batter like Nieuwenhuis. Kirk's hitting .275.
I guess you would classify Nieuwenhuis as a veteran. I mean, based on this team, right?
Yeah, been around.
Been around a little bit.
Hits it hard, but right at Zobrist. And that will retire the side. So a leadoff walk, stranded right there at first base.
As we head to the top of the third inning, let's check out some news and notes with greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. As we take a look at Tim Lincecum, who's finalizing a deal to sign with the Angels. He hasn't pitched since last June, so we'll see if he returns to baseball and into the Angels rotation. Freddie Gonzalez was fired after the first 37 games this season. He is replaced by the Braves AAA manager and Rougned Odor, the punch that has been seen by millions. He finally gets his penalty. He is suspended for 8 games and fined for clocking Jose Bautista. B.A.
All right, thanks a lot, Telly. That bounces off of him right to VR, and Paez is out. Hard hit ball to third. Gets us started in the third. And I can't wait to get your opinion on this this fight, this bench clearing brawl. We haven't seen many in baseball, but this was the shot heard around baseball yesterday.
In this day and age, this is a very dirty slide. It didn't used to be. I mean, that was pretty much standard back in those days. It was going to be a automatic double play. Now check it out. We talk about a right cross right there. It gets him right in the jaw. But the emotions run high. The Blue Jays and the Texas Rangers. I mean, the bat flip with Bautista last year in the playoffs, and it was you never want to see anybody fight, but there are emotions in this game, and sometimes the way replay is and the way all this stuff is going on, you don't really see guys get emotional, and I think it's good for the game to see guys get a little bit fired up. Look, I'm not condoning fighting and punching and things like that, but a little bit of emotion in the game is a good thing. You don't see much of it.
It was certainly entertaining. 14 players and staff members of the Rangers and the Blue Jays received discipline for their roles yesterday. And the heaviest suspension, heaviest discipline came to Rougned Odor, who is out for 8 games.
And should be.
Jesse Chavez got 3 games. The manager, John Gibbons, was suspended 3 games as well, the Blue Jays skipper. There was also an ejection and a suspension with the Tigers. Brad Ausmus, the Tiger manager, had a very entertaining ejection where he actually disrobed at home plate. And he's suspended for a game. He'll serve that suspension tonight.
Covered home plate up, right? I mean, oh my goodness.
With his hoodie.
That's good.
I'm all for it.
You know what? Good for them. I tell you, I think fans miss the arguing. I think that a manager going out arguing, players getting up after being called out, in a little bit of a dust up. And
I knew you would like it.
Yeah,
you're the first person I thought of after that incident.
I like it. I don't like the fighting. I'm not saying that.
A swing and a miss, and a nice tidy inning for Chase Anderson. Got the first 2 out on the first 2 pitches, and he picks up his second strikeout.
3-0 score between the Brewers and Cubs here in the third inning. I'm Sophia Minner. We continue now with our BCF Ultimate Online Auction, and I'm joined now by two of the Brewers' wives, Larissa Braun and Danielle Knebel. And Larissa, one of the packages that fans can bid on is the opportunity to do a meet and greet with your husband, Ryan.
Yes, that is correct. And that happens during BP, which is batting practice for those who don't know that. You get to take a photo with him, and you will also get a jersey that he will sign for you and 4 field level tickets to that game.
Well, everybody always wants an opportunity to meet Ryan Braun, so you have the opportunity to do that here with the Ultimate Online Auction. And Danielle Knebel, you're newlywed with Corey, so date night ideas, the home plate package could be really fun.
Absolutely. Listen up, guys. So you can get a catered dinner on home plate, which is awesome, and then a private message up on the scoreboard. And along with that comes 4 field level game tickets. So come on, guys, put your bids in.
All right, well, we'll be here all night long. And again, you have until midnight tonight to get those bids in.
All right, Sophia, thanks. And thanks to the Brewers' wives. They always put together a great package that we can look forward to, raise a ton of money. Trying to raise a lot of money for Brewers Community Foundation. We'll be out there all night looking at
that dinner at home plate's not during the game, I hope.
That'd be a little dangerous. That makes it a little bit risky during the game. Aaron Hill leads off. Little bouncer out to short. Russell, low throw, and in and out of the glove of Rizzo. Aaron Hill safe.
Yeah, it just didn't look like Russell got a good grip on that baseball. Couldn't get much on the throw, and might have had it with the end of his fingers and not able to get much on it. Let's see how they score that one. A little slow roller, and this didn't have a good grip. And Anthony Rizzo, usually he comes up with this one. That's a short hop that he normally comes up with, and it'll be we'll see. Error, hit.
It hasn't been scored yet. Probably should be a hit. A little out of the ordinary for a shortstop. It will be a hit as Anderson bunts it foul. So the pitcher, the Brewers pitcher up there to try to advance a runner after the infield hit. Anderson on the mound has retired 9 straight to start the game, coming off a 7-pitch third inning.
His mechanics and his confidence a lot better than it was a couple of starts ago. Started last time out.
Squares early, pulls the bat back and takes a swing at it. Wide open hole on the right side.
Pretty good hack right there. You know, a lot of times when a pitcher, even a position player, does that, they don't pull the bat back soon enough and they get caught in between. The idea is that infield's moving around, you hit the ball on the ground, and might end up finding a hole. You don't want to hit the ball in the air in that situation.
Squares again, takes a ball, pitch in the dirt.
This is a line drive like Jimmy Nelson did a couple of starts ago.
And unlike fouling off a bunt with 2 strikes, you try it here with 2 strikes, try a swing. A foul ball keeps you alive at the plate. Foul off a bunt, it's a strikeout. The 1-2, and he bunts it to Rizzo. Rizzo goes to second, out there, return feed not in time as Anderson got down the line well.
Yeah, he did.
So the sacrifice fails, but Anderson at first with 1 away in the top of the order coming up.
Yeah, it always helps to have a left-handed throwing first baseman on a play like that. A right-handed throwing first baseman that might not be able to make that throw, but Rizzo able to pick it up, and he's in position to throw right away. And Chase Anderson not taking any chances. He is busting it down that line to avoid the double play.
Back to the top now. Here's Jonathan Villar, switch hitting shortstop, a strikeout victim in the first inning. Jonathan has been hot. 7 hits in that 4-game series against San Diego. He also leads the club in walks. A little chopper up the middle, and that's going to be 1 only. Close. Zobrist made a nice play to get the lead out, and at least it gave Russell a chance at 2. So the put out Goes 4-6, and VR will reach on a fielder's choice.
Yeah, really good wheels for VR getting down that line. Now with him at first base and 2 outs, you might see him try and steal a base. Beats it easily at first, but you're right. I mean, that was a pretty good feed and a good throw by Addison Russell to make it close. It's that changeup. And VR just too fast for them to turn it.
VR does have 11 steals, second best in the National League. Starling Marte is the league leader. The Pirates outfielder has 12. See if Scooter Gennett gives him a chance to run. Like most control pitchers and ground ball pitchers, Kyle Hendricks is very good about keeping runners close. Has a quick delivery to the plate as well. A good move to first. If you're a pitcher that is going to allow a lot of hits and base runners, but you also rely heavily on the double play ball, the ground ball,
right,
it's imperative that you keep runners pinned to their bases, and you don't see many ground ball pitchers who don't have a good move to first base or
right,
a quick release to home plate.
Yeah, and understand that, and you know, keep a guy at first base gives you a chance to turn two. You don't need that here, but keep a guy at a scoring position.
The one guy who bucked that trim at a Hall of Fame level was Greg Maddux.
Right.
He didn't bother with base runners. Of course, he didn't have many base runners, but he was a guy that if you got on, you could actually steal against. You may go all the way to third. His focus was always on the hitter and would rarely use the slide move from the mound, from the stretch.
Although I'm sure his catchers didn't like that too much.
His personal catcher, Eddie Perez. Right?
Yeah.
Close play over at first. VR has got just about all he can get with a lead.
He takes a lot of risks out there in the bases. I mean, he will get picked off once in a while. He might get caught taking an extra base, maybe when he shouldn't, but I guess Craig Counsell would rather a guy be a little bit over aggressive than a little passive out there on the bases.
See Counsell with his bench coach, Pat Murphy.
11 stolen bases for him, but he's been caught 5 times.
2 balls and a strike on Gennett. 2 outs. And there goes VR, and a swing and a miss or foul. That's a swing and a miss. And so that'll be a stolen base for VR. Number 12 on the year. Gives him a share of the National League lead in that category.
Yeah, had a good pitch to throw on right there. A changeup down. Actually bounces, and no chance for Montero. So he picked a good pitch and was able to get there easily.
2-2 pitch. VR takes off, and Gennett strikes out. Foul tip into the mid of the catcher. And down he goes. Inning is over. No score after 3 at Miller Park. Baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Hupy and Abraham. 1-800-800-5678. Hupy and Abraham. Tell them you mean business. Miller Park, Milwaukee, Brewers, Cubs. And a reminder, Brewers fans, if you can't catch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with the all-new Fox Sports Go app. Download the app, take Fox Sports Wisconsin and Brewers baseball with you everywhere you go. First game of a 3-game series. Brewers Cubs, well pitched thus far. 3 in the books, no score. We go to the 4th. And Dexter Fowler, the Cubs leadoff hitter, will lead off in this 4th inning. Anderson retiring the first 9 with 2 strikeouts.
He's got a good curveball tonight, this Chase Anderson. He's thrown a number of them. A lot of them for strikes.
That was a changeup. Fowler didn't bite, all even at 1 apiece.
That fastball he's been locating well. He's always going to have that changeup, but the curveball has been impressive so far.
Fowler hits it sharply into center field, and Neuenhuis is there to make the play. Some hard hit balls for outs. 10 in a row for Chase Anderson.
Looked like that had some knuckle action on it out there in the center field, but the Neuenhuis able to handle it easily. Second time that Dexter's squared up on one.
It did have a bit of a wiffle ball effect out there, didn't it?
Yeah. That's when you know you hit them really solid. Hit them square when that ball's knuckling out there in the outfield.
Here's Jason Hayward. Popped up to the right side in his first time up. Grounds this one to the right side. Scooter Gennett will make the play. 2 up and 2 down. Chase Anderson coming off a 7-pitch 3rd inning. Picked up his 2nd strikeout. Both of these teams had the day off yesterday. Cubs actually bust here from Chicago this morning,
which is unusual. Normally you get in the night before a game, and in case you run into so many unforeseen problems.
Chris Bryant, first ball swinging, broke his bat. Aaron Hill gobbles it up, and that will retire the side. 1-2-3 inning. 5-pitch inning for Chase Anderson. Scoreless after 3.5. Ryan Braun will lead off. We'll see Lucroy as well, and Chris Carter. The big boys are coming up in the bottom of the 4th. On a Tuesday night at Miller Park. No score. We head to the bottom of the 4th inning. Ryan Braun ready to lead off for Milwaukee. after a couple of games out. So Rockies missed 5 games. And these numbers are interesting because they are very similar. Obviously, the team batting average has suffered, down about 30 points without Braun in the lineup. However, the Brewers pretty much able to stay level with their big slugger out of the lineup, which can be a great sign early for a team that has a number of positions that are in the big leagues for the first time.
Well, you would think when Ryan Braun's out of the lineup, you got to have extra good pitching, which the Brewers had on Sunday. Zach Davies pitching into the 7th inning. They won 3-2. So yeah, Brewers have they're off to a decent start. I mean, they really are. Given the problems that they've had in their starting rotation, I think that Craig Counsell will tell you that things could be a lot worse. I mean, there's been some very good performances. He's been very creative. I think one thing for sure, a little bit concerned about the work out of the bullpen. These guys have been terrific.
The numbers are great out of the bullpen, but a lot of early season innings for that bullpen. There is help coming. Corey Knebel hoping to return shortly. Will Smith, Telly will have a report on both of those guys, but they're both emerging, and you hope there's going to be some reinforcements on the way as Braun chops one to short. Russell hustles it over to first base. Braun is retired. Second time he's grounded out to short. And that'll bring up Jonathan Lucroy. Well, 2 big clouds on Sunday. Chris Carter launched one. Exit velocity 109.5. That is big time. And look where it ends up. High off the scoreboard. 443 feet the distance off the scoreboard. Now Lucroy hit one, 105 off the bat. And his traveled a little over 420 feet. Also,
not bad.
Off the scoreboard.
Right off that Miller Lite sign out there in center field. And Lucroy's starting to come around. I mean, his batting average has been up around 300 most of the season, but he's starting to get that power stroke down.
Homered in consecutive games, Saturday and Sunday.
But you saw the point of contact for both Carter and Lucroy. Carter was down a little bit below the sweet spot, and that gives you an idea how strong he is. Lucroy got his right on the sweet spot. Sweet spot in the bat's about 2.5, 3 inches on the barrel.
So when Chris Carter hits one 443 feet and you say, did you get that one? And he says, not really. You believe him?
I believe him. I've seen him take batting practice.
Scary power. Lucroy fouls it away. 2-2 the count on Jonathan.
But the one thing you notice about Carter is that when he misses one, it's usually down on the hand a little bit, trying to wait back and not overcommit or commit too soon. He very rarely off the end of the bat when he hits those home runs. I mean, obviously when he hits it on the sweet spot, they're going to fly, but when he hits them on the end, they don't go near as far as they do when he hits them down on the handle a little bit.
Lucroy sends one deep to left, way back. There she goes. 3 games, 3 home runs for Jonathan Lucroy. And the Brewers strike first. 1-0 on Lucroy's 6th.
Yep, came in at 89 miles an hour, came out a lot faster than that. I mean, that was halfway up that second deck out there. There's that 2-seam fastball, and he barrels it up. Yep, sweet spot and all. And he gives that one a ride out there in left field. Powerball home run count for Luke, 6. 3 in as many games.
All 6 of Lucroy's homers have come in the month of May. And he gives the Brewers the lead. Kyle Hendricks serving up a long home run to Lucroy as Carter fouls it away.
You talk about extension right there. Head down, that stiff front leg like that. I mean, that's a perfect swing. And he gets it on the barrel of the bat, the sweet spot, and it flies out of here. That's a picture perfect swing at the point of contact.
That's a swing to capture and use for instructional purposes. And a 2-strike home run as well for Lucroy. Carter way out in front. Down he goes on strikes. 4th strikeout for Hendricks. And Carter is 0 for 2. Here comes Domingo Santana.
He's got a good one. He throws a lot of them. When you put him down in that location, you're not going to get hurt too badly. And home run allowed by Hendricks, only the second one he's allowed all season. He does not give up many home runs because he doesn't get too many fly ball outs. Everything on the ground, strikeouts and ground balls.
You know, he's coming off a big strikeout game. Not really a strikeout pitcher, but he had 8 punch outs against the Padres his last time out on Wednesday. Got a no decision in that game. It's one of his better starts of the year. He went 6 2/3 innings, only 1 walk and 8 strikeouts.
I mean, he really hasn't had what would be classified as a blow-up start. He's given up 4 runs in the game only once, but he pitched into the 6th inning.
He had Lucroy's number. Lucroy been 1 for 9 career against Hendricks, and he had him to 2 strikes. Lucroy delivers one into the bleachers in left center. The Brewers score first here tonight. Milwaukee trying to snap a 7-game Miller Park winning streak for the Cubs. They've won the last 7 here. Big swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts, but not before Jonathan Lucroy delivers on a 2-2 pitch. Lucroy sends one out. 3rd home run in his last 3 games. 1-0 Crew.
Top of the 5th, time to check in with the crew in the community. Rounding up. You can support Brewers Community Foundation this season by rounding up in the Brewers team store by rounding up your bill to the nearest dollar and donating your change. You can change the lives of kids and families in need all around the state. PA?
All right, Telly, thanks. And here we go to the 5th inning. Chase Anderson and the Brewers leading 1-0 on a Lucroy homer. Anthony Rizzo, Ben Zobrist, Addison Russell will start it for the Cubs. Rizzo hit a shot his last time up. It was a line drive to Aaron Hill, the Brewers' 3rd baseman, who is actually over there on the second base side in the shift. So you got to be very detailed with your spray chart. Can't go off the box score.
No.
Can't go off the scorebook entry of L5. You got to make sure you see it. Pulls another one right to Carter. Easy enough. 3 unassisted, and Rizzo is retired.
Yeah, 2 bullets, right? Hey, tonight's time of the game winner, Sneakers Sports Bar and Grill in Janesville. If they call the Brewers by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. They'll get 40 tickets to a Friday night game in the Miller Lite Beer Pen. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite. Speaking of Miller Lite, how was your off day yesterday?
You know, I had a feeling you were going to say something like that. I was trying to do the quick analytics on the Tavern of the Game.
Yeah.
And you're at about a 50% success rate on the phrase, speaking of Miller Lite.
Speaking of Miller Lite.
It was a great off day. And speaking of sports bar,
yeah,
guess who I saw yesterday at a sports bar?
I can't imagine.
Ed Cedar.
Wow.
On an off day. We were the only ones in the building. So it was good to catch up with Eddie.
That's it? No more to the story?
No, I mean, there really wasn't anything funny that happened. I wish there was. Eddie's a lot different, you know, when he's in a public setting.
Yeah.
He's very.
It's amazing because, you know, Eddie doesn't like to leave squirt too long on an off day.
That's the dog, by the way. Ground ball to Hill. And there's out number 2.
Hey, Squirt, everybody knows Squirt.
I just didn't want anybody to misunderstand that. That's risky. So, yeah, we saw Eddie, the best profile in the big leagues, on yesterday. He and Marcia. Always good to catch up with people that you see every day on an off day.
You miss each other, right?
I never really know what to do. Are you supposed to shake hands when you know, we see him every day. Do you shake his hand or do you just, that's always a little awkward for me.
Just give him the long distance wave. I think that's appropriate.
The two-handed wave like opening day when he gets introduced. Two outs for Addison Russell. Talented 22-year-old shortstop. Chase Anderson is working quickly, pitching well.
Means he's confident when he's working quickly.
Putting together one of his better beginnings to a game. Very similar to his start against the Astros, his first start of the season. In the second series of the year. He's fallen behind now 3-1 on Russell. Russell had home runs on Friday and Saturday. He's got some pop in his bat. And he took a swing at it, didn't he?
Yeah, he's you know, Chase has got a little deception going tonight. Yeah, first time he's ever faced the Cubs, so it's not like they're going up there looking for anything. The only guy in the lineup that's ever faced him before is Hayward.
Full count, 2 outs. And he got him. A foul tip into the middle. Lucroy got him with a changeup. 15 up, 15 down for Chase Anderson. 1-0 Brewers.
Chase Anderson has retired 15 straight Cubs. The Brewers are holding on to a 1-0 lead. And we continue here with our BCF Ultimate Online Auction. I'm Sophia Minert, joined now by Jessica Molinas, the girlfriend of Chris Carter, and Danielle Knabel, wife of Corey. And Jessica, the owner's experience is an experience that fans can bid on. So what is included in that package?
Well, it's you and 4 guests get to experience the game from Mark Atanasio's front row seats. And also an opportunity to watch batting practice on the field is also included, so that's really fun.
And Danielle, time is running out for fans to participate in the auction.
Yes, y'all got to get y'all's bids in. Bidding ends at 11:59 tonight, so come on, let's get those bids going.
And again, just a reminder, 11:59, as Danielle said, and you can go to brewers.com/BCF week to participate.
How are we doing, Sophia? How's the grab grub coming along?
You know, I think we need to sweeten the pot a little bit, guys. We're only at 1,000, which is great.
We
appreciate
started
the
at
1,000, but we need to go a little higher. So should we get creative? How can we sweeten the pot?
Man.
Rock, what if you're an author now? What if you autographed a book for a fan?
No, absolutely, I'd do that.
Okay.
I mean, that goes without saying. I mean, can we include a production truck visit?
Oh, I think so. Let's just do that. We don't need to ask them.
We don't. No, I'm not saying we're going to ask them, but
yeah, we get a trip to the production truck.
Yeah.
And so.
And that's pretty cool in there. That's all the work. That's where all the work gets done.
Each auction winner will receive a signed book by you, your new book,
right,
and a trip to the production truck.
Right.
Okay. As Neuenheis strikes out.
And I didn't consider putting their picture in the book.
It's a sore subject. So one away. For those who don't know, Rock wrote a book, talked about his partners. All of his partners have a picture in the book except for his current partner, who's been here the longest. Me.
Wouldn't it be really boring if your picture was in there? You have nothing to talk about.
I mean, I wasn't going to bring it up again, but it's a little disrespectful, I thought. I feel like a bit of an afterthought.
I was a little upset that Len Casper's picture was left out.
That's right, Len Casper. He was one of your partners left. Well, so Len Casper and I are in the same boat.
Yeah, there you go. Come on, man. Wasn't my fault.
You know what? Now you sound like a writer who says, well, I don't write the headlines. Aaron Hill, little flare. Going back on it is Zobrist. And there is out number 2. I went ahead and, when I got my copy of If These Walls Could Talk, written by Bill Schroeder and Drew Olson, I went ahead and put my own artist rendering, and I drew it to scale of a picture of myself. So, and it's important to note that is to scale.
Come on.
Look at that head.
Come on, man.
Anyway.
I got to be honest with you. When I saw the book, it first came to me, and I looked at that, I was horrified because I knew you were going to get many, many years of ammunition out of that.
Chase Anderson grounds out. He is in the spotlight right now. 15 up, 15 down. Anderson back on the mound. We go to the 6th.
Milwaukee Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Blue Harbor Resort. Summer fun is better at the Blue. Visit BlueHarborResort.com. Miller Park, Milwaukee. We head to the 6th inning. We remind you that Saturday, the world's best drivers will compete. It's a winner-take-all fight for $1 million at the NASCAR Sprint Cup All-Star Race, 7:30 p.m. Central, only on FS1, or you can watch it on Fox Sports Go. Well, Chase Anderson stepping into the headlines tonight. He's got 5 no-hit innings going. Kyle Hendricks has allowed 2 hits and the 1 run, a Lucroy homer in the 4th. Anderson has been on the express train, just 57 pitches through the first 5 innings. Bottom of the order coming up: Javier Baez, Miguel Montero, and the pitcher Hendricks. Anderson with 3 strikeouts. Cubs have had some hard hit balls for outs, but Anderson.
That was early in the game, though, first couple innings.
Right, that long fly ball by Bryant that Neuenhuis made a terrific catch, leaping up against the wall. Wouldn't have been a home run, it didn't look like, but it certainly would have been extra bases. Neuenhuis climbing the wall for the final out of the first. Rizzo hit a line drive that was caught, a diving catch by Aaron Hill, who was over towards second base on the shift. And Baez, little flare over to first base on a couple of hops. Carter hits Anderson on the move, and it's 16 straight for Chase Anderson.
And getting in on a lot of hands, some fists on that fastball in. Curveball's been good. His changeup's always there for him, but really locating well the fastball in and out. Check it out, Baez. He likes to pull the baseball, but a little indecision. He got the fastball in, maybe off the plate, and just eats him up. An easy ground out to first.
One gone for Chase. Here is Miguel Montero. Former teammates with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Not a whole lot of plate appearances for Montero. Missed some time with that back injury. Missed 3 weeks, as a matter of fact. And a strike. No balls, 2 strikes. Pouring them in. See the pitch count for Chase Anderson at 62 here in the 6th inning. 40 of those for strikes. The 0-2. Montero lays off.
And Lucroy doing a good job keeping the pace and the rhythm and throwing down the right signs. Chase Anderson not really shaking off a whole lot. It's all part of it.
See what he has in mind. 1-2. A wave and a foul. Anderson comes to the Brewers with that terrific changeup. But as you say, Rock, the changeup's great and very reliable, but his fastball is what has to be established for the changeup to be effective. He's not a guy that has an overpowering fastball, but he commands it well when he's right, and he's commanded it well tonight.
No, and this is the way he was throwing the baseball. I mean, trusting that fastball his first couple of starts. All of a sudden, you know, he got into trouble. You know, his 3rd start of the year, and he was giving up some home runs. Then he all of a sudden thought, I got to throw off speed, change-ups, curveballs, those types of things. And he kind of got caught in that trap for a while until his last start.
Another 1-2 pitch, just missed. It was a busy offseason for the Brewers. Anderson was part of that mix. He and Aaron Hill and a minor league shortstop, Isan Diaz, came to the Brewers in the Gene Segura deal. It was Segura and Tyler Wagner who went to Arizona. Anderson coming here.
And immediately entering in as the number 5 man in the starting rotation. Full count. And he lost him. Montero didn't bite. First base runner of the game for Chicago. Breaks up the perfect game for Anderson.
Yeah, tried to go with the 2-seam fastball, missed off the corner. Yeah, walking number 8 hitter.
That streak snaps at 16 in a row, retired to start the game for Anderson. And now the pitcher Hendricks, who struck out in the 3rd. One of the 3 strikeouts for Chase. First time he's been in the stretch all game. And Hendricks trying to bunt. Bunts it foul. No balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, and sometimes that can mess you up out there. I mean, it's been the whole game out of the windup, and then all of a sudden you have a different delivery to deal with. But you know, so far so good. It's good that he has the pitcher up there to be able to work that out.
I'll be curious here to see if Joe Madden wants Hendricks to try to bunt the runner over. You run the risk of a ground ball double play if you let him swing away. We'll see what he does. 0-2 the count. He's swinging and he takes a ball. Did not show bunt. Hendricks does have a hit this year in 14 plate appearances. Anderson wants a curveball. 1-2, and he got him. A strikeout. Gave him his best hook. Hendricks is gone. Strikeout number 4 for Anderson.
And it's always good when you have 4 pitches you can rely on, and that seems to be the case for Anderson here tonight. 4-seamer, 2-seamer, and curveball changeup, and he's got them all working for him.
And now the real test begins. 3rd trip through the batting order for Chase, as Dexter Fowler will hit. He's hit the ball sharply twice, right on the barrel, but got under it a touch in the 1st inning. Deep fly ball out to center, and then he lined out to center in the 4th inning, his 2nd at bat. Runner at first, 2 away. Fowler a swing and a miss. Big hack.
Yep, fastball, hittable fastball, and the Cubs don't seem to be picking it up all that early off of Anderson, the delivery.
Chase's longest outing of the year has been 6 innings. He's done that twice. Had a 6-inning start his last time out against the Marlins. That resulted in a loss. 6 innings, 3 runs. Put that fastball by him. A little foul tip into the middle, Lucroy, and it's 1-2.
There it is again. Not the 4-seamer, but the 2-seamer going away, but it was up, and you could see, you know, Fowler not even close.
1-2 pitch. Montero takes off in the dirt. It's a wise choice by Montero, figuring Fowler might get a breaking ball. And no throw made, no chance to get Montero his first stolen base. And just like that, the Cubs put a runner in scoring position, the tying run.
Can't believe it. You got the stolen base, a curveball down, no chance for Lucroy. Does a good job just keeping it in front of him.
2-2 on Fowler, and a swing and a miss. He struck him out. Change up. 5th strikeout for Anderson. Perfect game lost. No hit bid still intact after 6. 1-0 Brew Crew. Brewers coming to bat. Fox Sports with Milwaukee Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. And by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. Tuesday night, Miller Park, roof is closed. Temperatures in the low 50s. And the Brewers and the Cubs, first matchup here at Miller Park of the year, 1-0. Chase Anderson is the story right now. If you're just getting to us, Anderson had a perfect game going, had 16 in a row retired before he walked at Montero, but then came back, Brock, with back-to-back strikeouts of Hendricks and Dexter Fowler to end the inning.
Yeah, been a beautiful changeup to get Fowler to end the 6th.
Still has not allowed a hit through 6. The hard-hitting Chicago Cubs. Boy, what a story developing here. Let's hope he can keep it going. That lone run for the Brewers in the 4th was a Jonathan Lucroy 2-strike home run off of Hendricks. And it was a no-doubter into the bleachers on the Loge level in left field. Top of the Brewers order here with VR, Jeanette, and Braun. After that home run allowed by Hendricks to Lucroy, he's retired 5 straight. And now VR is aboard to snap that string. Second walk issued by Hendricks. And a speedy base runner aboard. Carsoup.com trivia. The last 3 Brewers right-handed starting pitchers to finish their seasons with an ERA under 3. So that's a good question. Haven't had many left-handed starting pitchers in the Brewers rotation in a while. Could probably quickly go through them on one hand. Randy Wolf, Narveson, Manny Parra.
Right.
Hasn't been many. Scooter Jeanette breaks his bat. That's going to fall. A base hit. And VR thought about third. He'll hold up. Good start to the inning. A walk and a single. 2 on, nobody out with the big boys coming up.
Yeah, take him any way you can get him. Yeah, breaks his bat. You know, a 2-seam fastball going away right off the end, but dumps it in front of Fowler out there in center field. Well, Vio not quite sure if that ball was going to drop, and that's why he has to hold up at second base.
Well, VR always a threat to steal third. Not sure if he'll try it with Braun at the plate. He was running with Jeanette at the plate in Jeanette's last at bat, resulting in a strikeout that ended the inning. Ryan Braun has 2 ground ball outs to short.
Yeah, better stay put at second base right now. You got to give Braun a chance to concentrate and try and drive one into the gap.
Ryan missing 2 starts with a wrist injury, back tonight.
And nothing a whole lot straight out of the hand of Hendricks, if you noticed. Cuts him, sinks him, he's got a change up, that curveball. It looks like it's going to be a fastball hittable, then it kind of just darts.
1 ball, 1 strike. Braun hits it sharply. Base hit right field. VR round third. He'll score easily as Ryan Braun delivers. It's an RBI single, and the Brewers lead it 2-0.
Yeah, how about that? Some kind of swing by Ryan Braun. You don't see many right-handers do that. And maybe a jam shot you might see it, but he barreled that one up. He hit it hard. And just inside that first baseline, you can see how well he let that ball travel. Same swing he put on it, got on top of it, and just ripped it down the line for an RBI. So VR able to score after the leadoff walk. Our Badger Mutual Insurance running the game here in the 6th inning.
Well, it's amazing the trust Braun has. Let that ball travel all the way into the hitting zone like he does.
Yep,
He's one of the few.
Trusts his hands. He knows he has the ability to be able to, if nothing else, get a bat on it. He does a very good job with 2 strikes and doing that, just fouling him off.
Quick trip to the mound for Cubs pitching coach Chris Bosio, former Brewer pitching coach.
Could he be one of the guys that answered to our trivia question?
You know what? That's a good call. It's a good call. Threw a no-hitter with the Mariners.
Yep.
On his career record as well. Excellent pitching coach. Good man, too. He's had great success here with the Chicago Cubs. Trevor Cahill loosening in the Cubs bullpen. First and third, nobody out. Here's Lucroy, who homered his last time up. The pattern for Joe Maddon with Hendricks last year for most of the season was the 3rd time through the batting order. That was usually the end of the line for Kyle Hendricks. He's going to push him a little bit tonight, despite a walk and 2 hits. So the first 3 batters he's faced as he's gotten into the 3rd trip through the batting order. And Lucroy pops it up right up the pipe. Foul territory. Montero for the first out.
Yeah, big out right there. Now ground ball can get him out of the inning. Had a good pitch to hit to Lucroy, just popped it up.
Here's Chris Carter now. Carter tops the Powerball home run count, has 11, tied for 3rd in the National League. Ryan Braun with 7 home runs. By the way, Braun's on base streak extended with that base hit. 24 straight games on base. It's the 3rd longest of his career. That ball's ripped into right center field. Carter sends one to the alley. One hop off the wall. Jeanette's in. Here comes Braun. The throw to the plate. Not in time. 2 runs in on a double by Carter. 4-0 Milwaukee.
Oh, another good send by Ed Cedar. Wow, we saw him make a very aggressive send on Sunday, and with 1 out. Ed Cedar sending Ryan Braun all the way around from first base, scores easily, and Chris Carter's back, if you haven't noticed. Another bolt out there in the right center. It's amazing how this guy really prefers not to pull the baseball, just hits a rope out there into the gap. Ed Cedar urging Braun to score, and he does.
2-run double is going to be the end of the line for Kyle Hendricks. Joe Maddon kicking himself. Thought about making a move. 1 batter too late. Brewers up 4-0. Here comes Cahill. We'll take a break. That's his excited face. Chris Carter just drives in 2 with a double into right center. Has 6 RBIs in his last 4 games, and Carter is now within 2 of the extra base hit lead in the National League. Trevor Story, the terrific rookie shortstop of the Rockies, with 25. And there's Carter and Rizzo. Carter adding to his number tonight. Just drove in 2 with a double to right center. That chased Kyle Hendricks, and Rocket will be Trevor Cahill now.
Yeah, 14th game for Cahill. Pretty good numbers at 360 earned run average. Last time out against the Pirates on the 13th, a couple of innings of work, gave up a couple of runs, a couple of walks, no strikeouts.
Domingo Santana, Cahill's first batter. You know, Joe Maddon's methodology with his pitching staff has been go as long as you can with Arrieta and Lester. That paid off well for him last year. Those were his 2 horses. So those were bullpen rest days for the most part last year, and it's been that way this year. And then the other 3 in the rotation, you get a couple of trips through the batting order, and then it's usually a pretty quick hook. 5-6 innings is what Madden's looking for out of the other 3 pitchers. Now it's a little different with Lackey now.
Yeah.
But I was a little surprised he hung with Hendricks that long.
Well, it was a 2-0 game at the time, and you know, Chris Carter had been scuffing a little bit and struck out his last time up, but he barreled one up into the gap. But at some point you got to let these guys get a little bit further into games.
Yeah, and when you're 27-9, who's to argue?
I was getting ready to say, I mean, they have a little bit of room to play with here.
Santana swings and misses. Cahill strikes out his first batter faced. 3rd K of the game for Domingo. And that'll be the 2nd out. Here's Kurt Neuenhuis. Right now Hendricks has allowed 4 earned runs in 5 1/3. 2 walks, 6 strikeouts tonight. He's coming off an 8 strikeout game against the Padres. But he's on the hook tonight, down 4-0. Runner at second still his. And that'll be Zobrist, and that is the inning. So the Brewers offense giving Chase Anderson a little breathing room. Heading out for the 7th. Has not allowed a hit. 4-0 Brew Crew. Take a look at tonight's game summary presented by Blue Harbor Resort. Kurt Neuenhuis got to start it. Great play robbing Chris Bryant. That was the 1st inning. That's how the inning ended for Chase Anderson. And then in a 0-0 game, Jonathan Lucroy with 1 out in the 4th delivers a long home run to give the Brewers the lead. Chase Anderson has now been staked to a 4-0 lead and is pitching a gem as we go to the 7th inning. So Anderson's pitch count in very good shape. 77 pitches through the first 6 innings. Facing Jason Hayward to start it. Hayward, Bryant, and Rizzo. Only one blemish tonight for Anderson. That was a walk in the 6th inning to Miguel Montero. Had him in a 3-2 count. Two and one on Hayward, who's 0 for 2. Grounded out to second base his last time up. He popped up in the infield his first time. And that one's in the air. Aaron Hill will make the call and the catch. One away. One out in the 7th for Chase Anderson.
Yeah, still getting in on hands right there. Jason Hayward, 3rd time now that he's been jammed on an Anderson fastball, and he's not the only one.
Chris Bryant now. Bryant and Rizzo had the 2 batted balls closest to a hit in this game. We showed you that play that Neuenhuis made on Bryant. He barreled it up. He got under it just a touch.
Yeah.
It was a mile high, and he hit it 400 feet to the deepest part of the park. That's another one a mile high, but that's going to stay in as well. Santana's got it. 2 gone in the 7th.
Another fastball. I mean, it proves, doesn't it, that the fastball is still the best pitch in baseball. Do all of the off-speed stuff you want. If you don't trust the fastball, you don't have much of a chance in this league, and he's proving it tonight.
Anthony Rizzo now with 2 away. He's hit the ball sharply twice. Had that line out in the 2nd and hit a hot ground ball over to Carter his last time up in the 5th. As Anderson flutters one in for a strike. Oh, and 2 the count. 92 with that fastball upstairs. This was the liner with the shift on, and the 3rd baseman over on the right side. That diving catch.
Started the 2nd inning.
Anderson's got him 0 and 2. Rizzo's off to a fast start. National League leader in RBIs. Tied for the major league lead with Robinson Cano with the Mariners. And down he goes. Chase Anderson strikes out Rizzo. 3 up, 3 down, 6 strikeouts. And Chase Anderson is 6 outs away from history. 7 no-hit innings for the Brewer right-hander. 4-0 Crew. Stretch time at Miller Park.
Park, where Chase Anderson is through 7. The Brewers have a 4-0 lead, and we continue our BCF Ultimate Online auction. We are making a final push, and so a number of these really unique fan experiences have gone up through your bidding. We appreciate the generosity, but we do have to make a final push. The bidding ends at 11:59 tonight, so you can continue to bid on these experiences. We've highlighted a number of them throughout the evening. The owner's experience, of course, we want to plug our guys, grab some grub with Brian and Bill. Being a Brewers reporter for a day, a home plate package, fantasy camp as well with Rock in the off season, and Craig Counsell package. So there's great experiences that you can bid on. You can go to brewers.com/BCFweek.
All right, thanks, Sophia. Good work out there as Aaron Hill flies to right for the first out. 4-0 Brewers here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Well, this is something that Chase Anderson is putting together here. You realize he has never even finished a game in his big league career. He's not had a complete game. His pitch count, Rock, is in great shape.
Yeah, there's no reason why he can't finish this one. But he's got 2 tough innings left.
There's still 6 outs to go. Next up for the Cubs in the 8th will be Zobrist, Addison Russell, and Javier Baez. The Cubs are in the 5, 6, 7 spot in their batting order. Probably good for Chase Anderson that he gets to hit here. And it's a shot off the glove of Cahill, but right to Russell for the out.
Hey, at least he gets to talk to somebody, Montero and Guccione, because nobody in the Brewers dugout's talking to him.
And stay active.
Right. Keep his mind off a little bit.
And he'll go to a very lonely spot on that Brewers bench, I'm guessing. See if anybody even looks at him.
No, not even the pitching coach, Derek Johnson.
Don't make eye contact. VR, first pitch, didn't give Anderson much of a break. 1-2-3 inning for Cahill. All right, here we go. Chase Anderson, the man of the hour in Major League Baseball. We go to the 8th. Cubs, but the story is Chase Anderson has not allowed a hit through the first 7 innings. He is 6 outs away. And the Cubs will bring up Ben Zobrist to start it, followed by Addison Russell and Javier Baez.
And there is a chance to get through this without having to deal with Brian and Rizzo again. Not a lot of room for error, though.
He's at great command. His pitch count is in excellent shape as he begins this 8th inning. 87 pitches for Anderson. Shot center field. going back, Nieuwenhuis, and it's over his head off the base of the wall. And the first hit of the game for the Cubs, Ben Zobrist doubles to start the inning.
Yep, fastball down the middle, and now what an effort by Chase Anderson. Boy, outstanding work.
Give him a hand, well deserved.
And first pitch to start the 8th inning.
Brewers have one no-hitter. Franchise history. Juan Nieves, 1987. And it will remain that way. The Cubs, in a weird set of circumstances, have the only no-hitter in this ballpark. Carlos Zambrano threw a no-hitter against the Astros in 2008 during the hurricane in Houston. And this is the pitch that Zobrist knocked over the head of Nieuwenhuis.
Yeah, left it out over the plate, and still an outstanding effort. And now Chase Anderson needs to figure out a way to get through this game and get the win.
It's got a 4-0 lead. Addison Russell at the plate. And a little jam shot. Jeanette will make the catch, out number 1. The Cubs were no-hit last year. Remember, Cole Hamels no-hit them at Wrigley. Then pitching for the Phillies, he was traded after that start to the Rangers.
And that was the last game that Jake Arrieta's lost.
That's right. Arrieta's won 18 straight, and the Cubs have won 21 straight with Arrieta on the mound. Good call. Prior to that no-hitter at Wrigley, the last time the Cubs were no-hit before Hamels' effort last year, Sandy Koufax, who threw a perfect game in 1965. Well, it'll happen one day. Chase Anderson gave it a good run here tonight. The closest the Brewers have come to a no-hitter since Nieves' no-hitter in '87 was CC Sabathia in 2008 in Pittsburgh. And for my money, it's still a no-hitter.
Yeah, it is.
An official scoring decision ruling what should have been an error a hit. And
in Pittsburgh. I mean, I guess no surprise that it was in Pittsburgh.
That was August of '08. Had some close calls. High fly ball into right. Easy enough for Santana. 2 outs. And the runner tags Zobrist. He'll end up at third. But he's there with 2 away. And Montero coming up. Little stretch, a little pull up. And a terrific night so far for Chase Anderson. Rockies racked up 6 punch-outs in this game.
And everything working for him. I mean, no mystery as to why he's been so good tonight, because he's got all 4 of them working, and he's really only made the one mistake that ended up a base hit. He got hit hard a couple times early in the game with the curveball. The 2 fastballs and the changeup's outstanding for him tonight. And that's why you see that line the way it is.
There have been 7 one-hitters in Brewers history by 6 different pitchers. CC Sabathia the last, but prior to that, the last one-hitter before Sabathia was Teddy Higuera, also in that '87 season.
Yeah.
Did you catch that game also?
I don't think so.
That was in September of '87 on the road. Skip Lockwood did it twice. Jim Coburn, Moose Haas, Danny Darwin, Higuera, and Sabathia are the 7 one-hitters, the 6 different pitchers to have thrown a one-hitter.
It's interesting, last homestand, Adam Conley lost a no-hitter, and or I should say the Marlins as a team lost a no-hitter in the 9th inning. And Chase loses his tonight here in the 8th. A couple of close calls.
Tough to go the distance. 2-2 on Montero. Chase had a perfect game going until Montero walked in the 6th inning. Now he's got his sights set on a shutout. He's never had a finisher in the big leagues. 97 pitches. 2-2. Shift is on. VR is there. Shutout intact. Lost the no-hitter with a double by Zobrist. But Chase Anderson gets a standing ovation, working on a one-hit shutout as we go to the home 8th.
Versus Cubs series is presented by Blue Harbor Resorts. Bottom of the 8th we go, and how about the performance by Chase Anderson here tonight? He retired 22 of the first 23, took that no-hitter into the 8th inning before he lost to Augie, but what a wonderful job of mixing up his pitches tonight.
Yeah, he had to do it. When you talk about Chase Anderson, it was all about that fastball, being able to locate it, and he just done that very well tonight. That good breaking ball, but his change has been very effective also. The one thing I really liked at him, when he used the fastball in some good hitting situations, he went out with conviction, hard into good locations.
4-0 right now, and it's very interesting as prolific as the Cubs offense has been this year. This might be the 3rd time this week they have been held completely in check, either shut out or held to 1 run. Very interesting. We'll talk about it more coming up after the ball game on Brewers Live. Brian.
Now it's time to get that paper bag out, Craig. These are the kind of games that get Jerry Augustine on point.
Yeah.
These beautifully pitched games. Scooter Gennett, little flare into left field. Bryant is there. And there's out number 1.
And this game's not over, so the Cubs have not been throttled yet. I mean, so far they have, but that's the thing about offense. It's going to come and go, but it's the teams that can pitch and play defense, and like the Cubs can, is the reason why they have the record that they do. They're not going to score 6 runs a game.
Anderson in a position to return. Most certainly. The bullpen is quiet. That's Lee Tunnell, the bullpen coach. And that's a good sign for Anderson. So he'll have a chance to go out and finish a game for the first time in his career. Ryan Braun drove in a run his last time up. RBI single to right, extending his on-base streak to 24 in a row. Carter drove in 2 runs with a double to right center. Brewer scored 3 in the 6th. Lucroy homered in the 4th off Kyle Hendricks. Those are the 4 runs and 5 hits. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cahill out of relief, and he strikes out Braun. 2 gone in the 8th. Cahill came on in the 6th inning, still out there. Carsoup.com trivia. We asked the last 3 Brewers right-handed starting pitchers to finish the season with a sub-3 ERA. Ben Sheets, Bill Wegman, and that man, Chris Bosio. You were on it, partner.
Yeah. Well, I knew Sheets and Bosio. I wasn't aware that Bill Wegman had that kind of year.
What a bulldog Bosio was, man. Now Sheets 2004. Bosio had it in 1989 as a member of the Brewers, and then ended up in Seattle in '93. Finished his career with the Mariners.
There really wasn't a more focused, determined, ferocious competitor that I ever saw, on the mound than Chris Bosio. Went right after you. A lot of passion out there. I think that's the way he goes about his business as a pitching coach as well. Not afraid to tell these guys exactly what he thinks they need to hear to make them better.
Bosio's no-hitter was in '93, that first year with the Mariners. Said he wasn't even sure he was going to make it out of the first inning when he was warming up in the bullpen.
He was sick. He came to the ballpark, and this is the way he tells it. Now you look back on retro sheet and find out, but he said he walked the first 2 guys. Right? Wasn't feeling well.
Lucroy strikes out. 3 up, 3 down. Cahill gives Joe Madden extended innings here tonight. Chase Anderson out for the 9th.
Ya lo sabe. ¿Quién? Que lo que ella quiere es la fiesta. Party. Que lo que ella quiere es la fiesta. Party. Que lo que ella quiere. Oye.
Well, a lot of fun at the ballpark tonight. Almost witnessed history here. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Spend the night with luxury. Roof is closed up. First game of this series. First trip for the Cubs here, the team with the best record in baseball. And Chase Anderson and the Brewers are trying to shut them out. It's been a 1-hitter for Anderson. His longest outing was last year against Miami. Tommy La Stella will pinch hit for the Cubs. The Brewers as a pitching staff have not had a complete game since Taylor Youngman did the trick in Los Angeles last season. It was a complete game on July 11th against the Dodgers. Dexter Fowler due next. Top of the order is coming up. The one hit, a leadoff double by Ben Zobrist over the head of Nieuwenhuis in the 8th inning. And a high fly ball to center. Hang it up for Nieuwenhuis. One away. Our Miller Lite What's on Tap. Big John Lackey, Big Jim Nelson on the mound tomorrow. 6:30 is airtime for Brewers Live. A couple of big old country boys going tomorrow. Power right-handers. Lackey doesn't have the big heat that he used to, but still more than capable. That'll be a fun one tomorrow.
Yeah.
Jimmy Nelson is going along really well.
Yeah, even in his losses, he's been pitching well.
Dexter Fowler, 4th trip against Anderson. 0 for 3. Anderson struck him out his last time up. On the ground, right to Carter. He'll take it himself. 2 gone. There have been more important games pitched here at Miller Park. CC Sabathia had racked up many of those in that 2008 season. But you can say if Anderson retires Hayward here or finishes this game with a one-hitter, for an individual, it will be one of the greatest games ever pitched in this ballpark.
Without a doubt.
So,
given who he's throwing against.
Sabathia's one-hitter, the last time the Brewers had a one-hitter was on the road in Pittsburgh. Last time the Brewers had a complete game shutout here at Miller Park 2 years ago with Kyle Loesch. Strike called. 0-2 the count. Anderson is a strike away from his first complete game of his career. Trying to shut out the Cubs. 0-2 pitch. And a high fly ball way back. Deep right center and leaping Santana. It is gone. Just like that, the shutout is gone as Hayward homers for the first time this year.
And you hate to lose that on an 0-2 pitch. An 0-2 fastball got a little bit too much of the plate. Never over till it's over. Got ahead, tried to sneak a fastball by him, a four-seamer. And left that baby out over the plate, and Hayward drove it out of here.
Well, Santana gave it a good effort. 4-1 Brewers now. Here's Bryant.
And Jeremy Jeffress getting loose in that bullpen, and one more base runner. Comes a save situation. You'll probably see him.
There's Jeremy. 10 out of 10 in save opportunities this year. And now Bryant launches into deep left field. And Braun will watch that one fly. Back-to-back home runs. Chris Bryant goes deep. 4-2 Milwaukee. And that could be the end of the line for Chase Anderson. Bryant belts his 7th of the year. And here comes Craig Counsell. Well, Anderson came within an out, came within a strike of a shutout in his first complete game. But it doesn't diminish his effort here tonight, and he will get a big hand on his way out. Well done, Chase. Chase Anderson here tonight, but he exits the game after back-to-back home runs off the bats of Hayward and Bryant. And Anderson so close to his first complete game. Now he will have to watch and wait as his closer, Jeremy Jeffress, comes on. 2 outs in the 9th inning, 4-2 Milwaukee.
They have picked up save number 10 on Sunday against the Padres. It was an inning of work, a strikeout and a hit, and has not allowed a run over his last 6 appearances. And he's got 1 out to get number 11.
Anthony Rizzo will bat. Cubs have 3 hits tonight. The double by Zobrist in the 8th to break up the no-hitter. And then the back-to-back 2-out homers. Hayward's came on an 0-2 pitch. Anderson's ERA goes from 6.11 to 5.32 with his outing tonight. Strike call from Jeffress.
And it's been a good curveball as of late for Jeremy Jeffress, making his fastball even better.
First time a Brewers starter had pitched into the 9th inning this season. Oh, and 2 it goes. Brewers are trying to snap a Cubs winning streak here at this ballpark of 7 straight. Ten tries, 10 saves for Jeremy Jeffress. At 1 career save leading up to this season. And he's still working in on Rizzo. Count remains at 0-2.
Yeah, been all curveballs. 3 curveballs and all 3 of them for strikes.
Again, the Brewers 1 strike away from a win tonight. And down he goes, a strikeout. Jeremy Jeffress strikes out Rizzo, saves it for Chase Anderson, and the Brewers win. They beat the Cubs. What a performance tonight. 8 2/3 for Anderson, just 2 earned runs. The best start of the year for Milwaukee. And Anderson to 2-5 as Jeremy Jeffress picks up his 11th save of the season.
Yeah, the starting rotation is starting to come into form, and Chase Anderson's last 2 starts very good, including tonight. What a performance he did against the best team in the National League, if not all of baseball, particularly the offense. He was able to handle them pretty well until the end.
We hope to hear from him. It's time for Brewers Live. We send it out to Craig Kashan standing by. Craig?
Okay, guys, great job tonight. Chase Anderson standing proud with his teammates. What a performance here today. Flirting with history. We'll hear from Anderson, Craig Counsell, the rest of the crew. Brewers Live postgame coming up.